Hi everybody, today I am going to be taking a look at the Passion Planner markers. These are relatively newish. I don't remember when they came out. I've been kind of out of the loop on plannership for the last 6 months or so, so I'm not sure when they came out, but they're new to me, and you guys suggested them after I did my review of the Sharpie S Note creative markers. That name of a product is never going to get easier to remember. Anyway, so I did order some of these, and I also ordered a Passion Planner to take a look at, so stay tuned for that. But today, I'm going to be taking a look at these puppies. This is the 12-pack with the full color line, or you can get a 6-pack with specific colors. You can't get a 6-pack of one and then a 6-pack of the other 6 colors. There's only one 6-pack available, and I will show you which colors are in that 6-pack. The 12-pack is $15, and the 6-pack is $8. So I would suggest that they are not inexpensive, but they are not as expensive as some highlighters get. So they're dual tip. One end is a chisel tip highlighter. One end is a fine tip felt pen reminiscent of like a Stabilo or a Statler with the metal encased porous tip. Now, according to the website, they are water-based, bleed-resistant, acid-free, dual tip markers. So the acid-free means that they aren't going to fade, at least not for a long ass time. I can't test that, but what I can test is the bleed resistant and take a look at the water based by seeing if I can blend them with water the same way you can blend like the mild liners with water. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the marker itself, and then we will look at the colors and the tips and compare and talk about them, as well as looking at a color comparison to see if there's any mild liners that match them, as I would say that at least right now within the planner and bullet journal communities, the mild liners are the most ubiquitous highlighters. So this is what they look like. They are plastic. They're not super weighty. They don't feel as cheap as the Sharpie ones do, but they aren't super fancy feeling, but they're highlighters. So do they really need to? I like that the caps are clear, and the tip casing of the highlighter side is the same color as the highlighter, so that you can easily tell which color is what. There is no information on the highlighter besides that color as to what the color is. The side with the chisel tip has a pen clip, which is not super firm, but it isn't. I feel like it'll probably be able to hold on to 5 or 6 pages. Taking the cap off, it won't stick to the end. So there is that. You stand a chance of losing this cap if you are not careful. It will not stick to the end. However, the writing cap will stick to the end. That's weird. Why? Why wouldn't they do both? I don't understand that. I guess they figure you're not going to highlight for as long as you would write. I don't know. That's kind of a bummer. Okay. Well, there is that. So the chisel tip, and then if you turn the chisel tip on its end for the finer point, could look like this or like this. And it has kind of a soft feel to it, but not quite as flaccid as the Sharpie. So I would say in between the mild liner and the Sharpie for how soft and flexible the chisel tip feels. And then for the fine tip, it doesn't say on the website what the fine tip is, but I like the feel of this. It feels really nice when you write with it. I'm kind of giving it some pressure as a heavy-handed person. It's not warping or being all janky. It's nowhere near as flexible as the highlighter tip, so that's kind of cool. So I've got a water brush here, and I'm going to see both how they blend when you lay them down specifically with water. So it looks like they do blend out, although you don't lose the line of the highlighter. And then the other thing to check would be, I guess I'll just use this to blend. Color it onto a surface the way I do with a Tombow, and then pick it up. That is a little bit more saturated than I expected it to be. Sometimes when you do this with highlighters, you lose a lot of the color, and you do lose some of the color, but you can play with it that way. So that's cool. It's fun to be able to do that with markers in general. With highlighters, it's a little bit less useful, I would suggest. Purely, my cats are in the background chasing each other around. Nope. Okay, come on, Lulu, he's not in the mood right now. It's a nice bonus to be able to blend highlighters with water, except for like really light washes. Not as practical as a more saturated marker, I would suggest. All right, I am going to swatch all of them and then give my thoughts on the color range, and then we'll take a look at the mild liners and how they compare. The very first observation I have with these highlighters is that this fine tip might work well for color coding. If you're gonna like assign these all colors and then you're gonna use them on like your monthly calendar to write things in, that might work. But I would suggest that at least half, if not more, are like you can barely read them. They're so pale. I mean, they're highlighters, so obviously. I zoomed you in here and you can see just how light, like with this light green especially, light green, the yellow, the green, the ones that I guess you can really see, even though I still would struggle to see them if I was writing anything more than like an appointment time, like the dark blue and the purple and the orchid and the pink. Those ones are the ones I might be like willing to do that with. But in general, they're just the actual fine tip. It's just super pale. So I don't know how useful it would be for me. It might be for you, but just bear that in mind. What I would have loved is if the dual tip, I don't know if this is feasible, but if the fine tip was a more saturated version of the color so that it stood out more, so you could still do the color coding, but you'd have a highlighter version and then a pen version that you could actually read. Other than that though, I do love these colors. I think they're gorgeous, especially like when looking at the highlighter side. The orchid is beautiful. The purple, I really, really love the light green. I love the light orange. I think they're lovely colors. So if you wanted to do some color coding, these would be great colors for that in terms of prettiness, at least in my own opinion. So the 6-pack consists of pink, light orange, yellow, sky blue, purple, and light green. So if you bought a 6-pack, you would get those colors specifically, and then the 12-pack you get red. You get those 6 plus the additional red, gold, green, blue-green, dark blue, and orchid. And the colors I like are kind of split evenly between the two. But something else that might help you make a decision is seeing which ones have mild liner. Out of all of them, I would suggest that 7 of them have compatible colors, a mild liner counterpart. But of those 7, about half of them, they're like close but no cigar. And then the rest of them are fairly close. So I'll just explain as we go through. Sky blue has a really close match with the fluorescent, like regular blue from the fluorescent pack of mild liners. Gold, it has a damn near spot on match with the gold from the mild liners. Magenta from the mild liners is like a more saturated version of the orchid. And this actually makes a great point. I feel like if this orchid was this saturation, but this highlighter color, that would have been more useful for me. Violet from the mild liners and purple are one of the close but no cigar matches. Blue-green from the mild liners and blue-green are, again, very, very close to each other. Dark blue from the mild liners and dark blue from the passion markers are close. This is a little bit cooler toned than this. Yellow from the mild liners and the yellow here are close, but this one's the mild liners is a little bit brighter. So looking at this, it's evenly distributed, damn near. Like 3 of the 6-pack have mild liner compatible ones, and then 4 from the 12-pack that are not in the 6-pack have compatible colors. If you look at this and you have the mild liners and you see what colors are matches and what colors aren't, like the pink and the red you would think might have compatible ones with the mild liners, but they're not even close. Like this is the red mild liner, and you can see here, like, nope. And like some like the orange and the green, they're just the fluorescentness. Like the orange from the mild liners is way more fluorescent, and then with the green, it's way less fluorescent. So there are some differences. But if you look at this and you see which mild liners match, and if you have them in your collection already, and whether or not the tip matters to you. For me, I really like the colors, and I like the limited selection of them. Would I buy them again for usage? Probably not. mainly because I have highlighters that work as well, and I have fine line marker pens that are more saturated and easy to read. They are pretty though, and the price is not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible. So this should give you an idea of whether or not you want to buy them based on what you might already have. Now the last thing I'm going to check is whether they bleed through, and I'm going to use the Leuchtturm, which is a very bleedy through paper, but I just want to see kind of what it looks like on there, as well as how they interact over like a fine liner pen. So I'm going to take my Pitt Artist pen up here. So we'll just do an individual line and then over the fine liner. So over the fine liner, it doesn't smear at all. And then looking at bleed through, holy shit. Okay, it like bleeds through a bit on the end. When you like layer it a little bit, it does bleed through. Otherwise, it shadows, but I can see the paper crinkling from it. So, that's interesting. And then this is like my the Lights Planner Action Planner, which is 32-pound paper. And on here, it doesn't bleed through at all. Like I've got them all over here. Doesn't bleed through at all. So I guess it just depends on the paper that you're using. But on a Leuchtturm, if that's what you're using for a bullet journal, most definitely you will get some shadowing and potentially some bleed through. Overall, they are solid highlighters. And if you are looking for a color palette, if you don't have highlighters and you're looking for something to like color code or something along those lines, this might be a good set to pick up. However, if you're looking for a lot of use out of the fine tip side of the highlighter, then just be aware that it is going to be very pale. You just need to know that, because I don't want you to be disappointed in spending your money on something and then discovering, like for me, that fine tip is almost useless. So I just want to make sure that you know. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below any particular pens you'd like me to take a look at and how much interest there is in a highlighter Thunderdome where I compare a bunch of highlighters. I've already asked this before, but I'm going to just keep asking it again because it's nice to gauge some interest. There's also going to be some videos coming up on consumerism, so just know that when I say that if you want these, buy these, but make sure that you that it's actually worth it. I make these videos so that you can spend your money smartly instead of just buying things because you see them on the internet. Sorry, I'm in my head about this right now. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below other pens you'd like me to take a look at. Make sure that you stay safe, stay masked, wash your hands. I love you. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, my dudes, peace out.